What are some facts that are actually false? Tic Tacs are sugar-free. While listed as sugar-free, this is a marketing trick taking advantage of a loophole due to their small size. To be listed as sugar-free, a product must contain no more than 0.5 grams of sugar per serving. Tic Tacs are approximately 98% sugar, but the serving size is 1 mint, with an average size only 0.49 grams. That you eat 8 spiders in your sleep, you actually eat them mostly in your processed food, as the FDA allows a limit on things like peanut butter and tomato soup. The Great Wall of China is the only man-made object you can see from space. No, you can't. It's like 30 feet wide. It's doubly wrong. Not only can you not see the Great Wall, but from space you can see light coming from cities, the sources of which are man-made. The food pyramid. It was lobbied into what we grew up on by the food industry, having plenty of grain. I mean, come on, grains is not more necessary than vegetables and fruit, or that dairy is necessary. You can get more calcium from lentils or kale. Slit pupils mean a snake is venomous. The shape of the pupils is based on either nocturnal or diurnal. Walks up to cobra and looks it in the eye. Real good hair, it has round pupils. Hair grows back thicker when you shave it. I believe this is because our hairs are uneven lengths, but when you shave an area, the hairs there grow back at the same length, which makes it appear thicker. That it's illegal to drive barefoot. I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that police actually encourage barefoot driving over driving in heels, flip-flops, etc. I've always wondered about that. On long road trips, I occasionally drive barefoot, and it certainly feels a hell of a lot safer than, for example, driving in heavy work boots. That cold weather causes colds. It is hot as right now, and I had the worst cold of my life. Going out with wet hair gives you a cold. No, it doesn't. The cold virus gives a cold. Tilt your head back when you have a bloody nose. You actually want to tilt it forward and pinch your nose. Tilting your head back actually will have the blood coming out of your nose to stop faster. The problem is the blood instead runs down your throat and into your stomach, causing you to vomit. Committing creates pressure in your head, which can then cause the bleeding to start back up, doctor told me. There is no 24-hour waiting period and a missing person report. If someone is missing, even if it's for just an hour, you can most certainly file a report. I have myself been told by police about this waiting period. If you ever have to file a report and they tell you that, just insist. It can be intimidating, but I'm willing to guess 90% of the time people are told that. It's because the cop or cops are just lazy. As many people have said, time is absolutely crucial in cases like this. Sharks aren't actually as dangerous as people make them out to be. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you hug one, nor would I recommend you suddenly act casual around them like they're butts. But it won't come and eat you just because you are there. They have a pretty fine diet and only really eat anything outside of their diet if they're starving, which is rare. The only time they will attack outside of feeding is when they feel you are a threat or when provoked, and are usually fended off pretty easily by hitting them on the snout, eyes. The best way to escape a bear is to run downhill. You may get faster running downhill. Guess who else does too? The actual best way to escape a bear is in a helicopter. This is because bears can fly. People in the Middle Ages thought the Earth was flat. The Greeks had already calculated the radius of the sphere with great precision centuries before. Lightning never strikes the same place twice. Too bad for the guy who got struck 7 times during his life. Can't remember his name. Edit. His name was Roy Sullivan. Microwaves and cell phones cause cancer from radio waves. The visible light spectrum has more energy than any of the waves coming from your microwave or cell phone. Both microwaves and cell phones do not emit ionizing radiation, however humans do. While dining, the ancient Romans did not ritualistically eat so much that they had to interrupt eating to go vomit. An entranceway to a stadium at that time was called a vomitarium and had nothing to do with dining. I have seen this fact in at least 2 children's history books, and I have no idea how or why some historian came up with this weird claim. Speaking of eating, those fat Buddha statues and depictions you see in some Asian restaurants are not the historical Buddha who founded Buddhism and was not obese. They're Budai, a 10th century Chinese folk hero who eventually became a Buddha himself. The structure of a wolf pack. Contrary to what most people think, there is no alpha, beta, etc. in the pack. Rather, the pack is made up of a family with the mother and father leading, followed by their cubs, and later the families of their cubs. After a while, the cubs break off from the pack to find their mates and will remain on their own. You see this in the media a lot, that a heart attack is the same as cardiac arrest. It's not. In order for a body to function normally, blood needs to flow through the cells to drop off oxygen and nutrients and take away waste products. If that process stops, the cells begin to stray, fill up with waste and die. The blood travels through arteries in the heart just like most other places in the body. A heart attack is when one or more of those arteries are blocked, and the heart tissue starts to die from starvation. If enough cells die, the entire organ dies. A cardiac arrest is when the entire heart fails to pump normally, resulting in that blood flow stopping throughout the entire body, not just the heart. There are several causes of cardiac arrest, one of them being a major heart attack that kills enough of the heart muscle. But you can have a cardiac arrest from having a multitude of medical problems, from a burst blood vessel in your brain to a blocked blood vessel in your lungs, and even losing enough blood or having a huge systemic infection. These are the people who need CPR. That we only use 10% of our brain, and if we could use 100%, we'd all be super geniuses or something. The best reply to this that I ever heard is, we also only use 33% of our traffic lights. Imagine what they could do if we turned all 3 lights on at the same time. Furthermore, this fact is heavily misquoted and meant something completely different. CPR is used to restart hearts and is quite successful. CPR is hugely unsuccessful and isn't used to restart hearts. It's used to keep circulation going until medication to restart the heart can be administered. A defibrillator is used to restart hearts. Nope again. It's used to stop hearts that are beating incorrectly in the hope that when they restart, they'll be beating all nice and proper. Also, it's not like in the movies, where they do CPR for like 30 seconds and the guy comes back to consciousness. The guy or girl will almost definitely not do that. You're supposed to continue CPR until EMTs arrive. That Pearl Harbor was the only attack on US soil during World War II. In fact, the Japanese bombed Dutch Harbor and invaded the Aleutian Islands. There were also U-boat attacks on the west coast and German spies who landed via U-boat on the east coast. None of these were particularly consequential in the grand scheme of things though, so they were forgotten. The whole tongue map thing, you don't have parts of the tongue that only react to a specific taste. That goldfish have a 3-second memory. They actually have a memory span that lasts for months. They are also quite intelligent fish. You can even teach them tricks. That life expectancy several hundred years ago was only 35 or so, but the average age was lower due to incredibly high infant mortality rates. However, if you could survive infancy, childhood, you'd likely live well into your late 50s or 60s. The left side of the brain is the rational one, while the right side is the creative one. It's actually more complex than that, a lot more complex. Rabbits love to eat carrots. Eating carrots can actually make rabbits sick because of their high sugar content. Rabbits mainly should only eat hay and or grass. George Washington died of a cold. George Washington was diagnosed with a cold, but actually he was suffering from a severe infection called epiglottitis. Dogs only see in black, white, and gray. Dogs are dichromial animals, so while they recognize fewer colors differences than humans, who are trichromial, they still see a variety of actual colors. The red liquid coming from a steak is blood. The liquid dripping out of a steak is mostly myoglobin, which is a binding protein found in muscle tissue. The oxygen we breathe comes from trees. The oceans are responsible for 70% of the oxygen that we breathe, and it mostly comes from phytoplankton. The pyramids in Egypt were built by slaves. Egyptian pyramids were built by workers, most likely paid workers. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to watch other videos.